Yes, my Straight Talk family, it's time for me to bid you a very pleasant night wherever you are in St. Kitts and Nevis, and a very pleasant night wherever you are in the entire Caribbean region. We go times as way south, down on the mainland to Guyana, Venezuela. We pass Trinidad and Tobago, yes. Come back down to Barbados and Grenada, St. Lucia, St. Vincent and the Grenadines, Dominica, Martinique, Guadeloupe, ça va? How are my friends in Montserrat? And next door there in Antigua and Barbuda. And we go west to St. Martin, Statia, Sabre, St. Bartholomew. How's Anguilla tonight? How are the British Virgin Islands? Antigua, Totola, Virgin Gorda. How is St. John in the U.S. Virgin Islands? St. Thomas and St. Croix, Buenas noches, Puerto Rico también. And, of course, we say good night to the world. We have petitions and divisions all over the world. So I reach and touch the diaspora, whether you are in Africa, Asia, Europe, or all over North America. I'm at liberty to say good night. I can't say good morning, and I can't say good afternoon, because one of such greetings will be applicable to the region in which you now find yourselves. And if you are a first-timer, each program, yes, we do have first-timers, so I really want to welcome you first-timers and to inform you that Straight Talk is a public service program that facilitates and promotes free expression on all issues of national interest, be they legal, be they environmental, be they technological, social, economic, and or political issues. On Straight Talk, we do have a forum to express ourselves freely. Let us, in the process, try to get St. Kitts back. It's going to be a Himalayan task, I know, but we once were one of the freest countries in the entire world, and that changed over time. And we just try and see if we can get as free as we can be. Straight Talk is we try to raise, I must say, on this program, the level of national discourse. We try to raise the level of national consciousness by alerting our people to their rights, to their responsibilities, and certainly to their obligations. My name is Ian Patches Liburd, and I give Almighty God thanks for blessing me with yet another opportunity to join you in conversation on yet another occasion. We had a little break on Monday because we had Culturama next door over there in Nevis. And on Monday and Tuesday, and we understand that it was a successful hosting of the 49th edition of Culturama. What's going up there? Next year will be the 50th, I believe. The 50th edition of Culturama. I thought of my brother Abernathy. Boy, you're moving on there. You've been around all those years. I believe you're still around. So we want to congratulate the organizers of the Culturama Festival in Nevis, which from all reports went very well. We were extremely scared for a moment when we witnessed that freak accident. I call it a freak accident involving the sugar band, the sweetest band in the land, the New Vibes, and we are happy that it was not more serious than some broken bones. And we trust that they would heal expeditiously. And that's my only observation I'm going to address tonight, because I have a thesis that I need some time to really deal with. And I've titled it, Nothing Really to Celebrate After 1 year. Nothing really to celebrate after 1 year. Yes, after 1 year of the Drew Labour administration, a majority of citizens and residents are asking, what is there to celebrate when the country is facing so many crises and numerous other problems? The first year of the Drew government has come to a close. Yes, 1 year has passed. But sadly, there is little to celebrate. The Labour Party promised to transform St. Kitts Nevis into a sustainable island state. And it sounds like a stuck record, because on the basis on which they promised to achieve that goal sounded attractive. But I must admit, it is not happening. And my Stray Dog family, they spoke about the 7 pillars. The 7 pillars of potential or anticipated success, which went something like this.
We work together towards transforming our Twin Island Federation into a sustainable island state based on the 7 key pillars that were introduced to you in August of 2022. Food security, green energy transition, economic diversification, sustainable industries, the creative economy, COVID-19 recovery, and social protection.
My Stray Dog family, pillars can only stand tall and high. But why? They can stand tall and high because of their solid foundation. The foundation laid by the Harris-led Team Unity administration was a solid one. But Dr. Drew does not in all cases subscribe to the concept of continuous government. And this has caused damage to the foundation, the solid foundation that was laid by the Harris-led Team Unity administration. So the pillars are not strong enough, and thus would not be able to stand tall and high. The pillars has to be grounded in something, on some foundation. Furthermore, even after coming to power 1 year ago, Dr. Drew is still in the electioneering mode, it seems. He tries each time to obliterate, that's a big one, to wipe out, I should say. He tries to wipe out the 7 most successful years of any administration in St. Kitts Nevis, I dare submit, since adult suffrage. Let me repeat that. There has been no administration as successful as a team unity administration, albeit in only 5 years, or 7 years, I should say, right, since adult suffrage. And in the process, Dr. Drew continues to ignore the responsibility of Prime Minister. And his responsibility as Prime Minister must be to take the country ahead with the help of all the citizens and residents of St. Kitts and Nevis. Dr. Drew has just taken too long to accept that, yes, he's the elected representative of constituency number 8, who is the Prime Minister of St. Kitts and Nevis. So he must act like the Prime Minister for you and for me. And as a matter of fact, from now on, he must act like the Prime Minister for all of us. The days when the Prime Minister comes to office and utilizes half, or in his case, 48% of the human resources of the country are all over, they're done with. Those days are long gone. Dr. Drew needs to demonstrate that level of maturity. The past year has seen a dull and dark shadow of uncertainty hanging over St. Kitts and Nevis. People are bewildered and confused. Instead of the promised recovery from COVID-19, people are witnessing a systematic attack on educated and competent civil servants or public servants and on our institutions, having introduced an atmosphere of exclusiveness in all areas. The world continues to respond unevenly to what was a crippling global pandemic and the resulting economic fallout. And as such, the role of governments is as contested today as it was in the times of Chinese philosopher Confucius and Greek philosopher Plato and our English economist John Maynard Keynes, who advanced a body of ideas on the theory of employment, interest, and money. And those students of business and economics would tell you that Keynes had come to be known as the founder of modern macroeconomics. Keynes. If we cannot fully agree on the role of government, there will never be agreement on how best to measure the success and performance of governments. There is nothing especially new about those on low incomes bearing the heaviest cost of social and economic change. As my research shows, the Federation's poor have long borne the brunt of most of the economic shocks the country has endured. The pandemic, I submit, however, had created a golden opportunity to start building a better society. But since this new government has come to office, there has been a prolonged debate about how to provide a fairer system of social assistance and elderly care, that should be. But the time spent on trying to discredit what Team Unity had developed could also have produced a much more progressive outcome. Sad to say, both are opportunities that to date seem to have been largely missed, as the first year of the Drew government came to a close, sadly, there's little to celebrate. Job growth, manufacturing output, and exports have all plunged downward. Inflation, social distress, droughts, and low or no farm incomes have made life miserable for Kititians and Nevisians. Food prices have gone up. Gas prices has gone up as well. And even the bus drivers are threatening to strike. And believe it, they seem to have support from government sympathizers when they announce their intention perhaps to strike.
Every day they talk about striking the bus chat.
But then do it.
Every day they talking striking the
But
bus
then
chat.
do it. Watch. You got some people don't pay attention unless something actually run amok, you know. And you know if the bus were to strike, what it's gonna do to the economy? And you see how the economy running now.
I don't say this right. I know why. I don't say this. I know why I'm vexed at the business.
Stop talk.
The fact that I'm here is shameful on them and talking about 1 year. How you could assess your salary every 3 years, but 15 years pass, and your heart no feel no way. You know, we get information that they keep meetings on these issues and then I call us, because one of the things I hear coming out from them, they only could strike for 3 days. How you want to talk to the bossman them? If all your ain't start to take all your business serious, all you're going to be all your own demise. But I am telling you to work with the public as best as you can. And when the time comes, when we can't take it no more, well, somebody will got something on the record.
My Street Dog family, is this what the Jew government is celebrating? Inflation has increased under the Jew government. Prices are increasing all over. There's no employment for the scores of youths who have just graduated from school. While in opposition, Dr. Jew promised a minimum wage of $500, also to increase the PAP to $1,500. He was at the forefront in opposing the Alternative Lifestyle Agreement, or the Peace Agreement as it is called. With respect to the latter, he bluntly refused to dialogue with the outgoing Commissioner of Police. Worse yet, the National Security Advisor, Major General Saunders, Jew did not even give him the opportunity of an assignment debriefing, which would have allowed him and his new National Security Advisor to glean some things from his assessment of the current disposition of the safety and security architecture in the Federation. But sadly, he has missed that opportunity, because you understand that Major General Saunders has demitted office and has gone back to his homeland in Jamaica. We must commend him and applaud him for his demeanor and for his approach to safety and security in St. Kitts and Nevis, and for his success as well. The Jew government is weakening democracy by not recognizing the autonomy of the judiciary and the constitutional institutions. For 9 months, my Straight Talk family, for 9 long months, the Attorney General has refused to advertise the vacant position of Director of Public Prosecutions. At least I have not seen one public advertisement for that position, which is a constitutional position. and which he promised that he would advertise way back in November or December.
On the expiry of the contract of the former DPP, Director of Public Prosecutions, on September 19th, and to create a smooth leadership transition, 2 experienced local prosecutors were assigned to create a smooth and we're also going to recruit a new DPP very shortly to take the reins of that office.
Very shortly has now become 9 or 10 months, my Straight Dog family. But no doubt, we understand why. No doubt, Gareth Lucien Wilkin wants to influence the decisions of the current acting DPP, which should be an independent constitutional position. And who influenced my Straight Talk family? Who influenced her decision to issue a notice of discontinuance? I ask you, in a gun and ammunition related charge in Nevis. There's a notice of discontinuance served on the magistrate, Yasmin Clark, my Straight Dog family, who influenced that decision when the DPP ensured that persons with a similar charge in St. Kitts, and even a week before, was sent to jail, one for 3 years and one for 4 years, I think, if I recall, my Straight Dog family. But that's the nature of the influence of the AG's office on the judiciary. It is for these reasons and many more. Thousands of people are expressing voters' remorse. Some say buyer's remorse. And have noted, I should say, renewed confidence in Harris and hope that his party will bounce back to power in the next general elections. And the country will shout, Libertatem, Libertatem, free from Dr. Joe. Libertatem is the Latin for freedom, my Straight Dog family. Some are even talking about the possibility of DLD, Denzel Llewellyn Douglas, and his ambitious plans, especially in light of his recent Facebook posts, like this one, my Straight Dog family. Very interesting post. Time, circumstances, position, and power can change at any time. And he admonishes us to be humble, be tolerant, and be careful how you treat others. That was posted by DLD a few days ago, my Straight Dog family. Very interesting Facebook post. But if we take a quick glance at the executive summary of the 2023 Global Risk Report of the World Economic Forum, which represents the results of the latest Global Risk Perception Survey, GRPS. The report stated that as 2023 began, the world was facing a set of risks that felt both wholly new and eerily, mysteriously, frighteningly familiar, if frighteningly is a word. We have seen a return of older risks, such as inflation, cost of living crises, trade wars, capital outflows from emerging markets, widespread social unrest, geopolitical confrontation, and the specter of nuclear warfare, which few of this generation's public policy makers in particular have experienced. The said report has predicted that the next decade will be characterized by environmental and societal crises, driven by underlying geopolitical and economic trends. It has ranked the cost of living crisis as the most severe global risk over the next 2 years, peaking in the short term. But there has been a pause or gap in a sequence, a series of process of climate action. There has been a climate action hiatus. Despite 30 years of global climate advocacy and diplomacy, the international system has struggled to make the required progress on climate change. We hear so much about that. The potential failure of this administration to address this existential global risk will come to haunt us all here in St. Kitts and Nevis in the ensuing years. Recent actions of this Jew administration have exposed a divergence between what is scientifically necessary and what is politically expedient. While current pressures should result in a turning point, encouraging right-thinking leaders of energy-importing countries like we here in St. Kitts and Nevis to invest in secure, cleaner, and cheaper renewable energy sources. This current crop of misleaders, I call them, have in 1 year reversed the progress we have made on climate change mitigation. How on earth, for example, my Straight Dog family, can Dr. Drew, as Minister of Finance and Prime Minister, approve the spending of US $100 million on new and expanded fossil fuel infrastructure and supplies, 2 new fossil fuel generators, and then turn around and sign an MOU with the Afrexim Bank to borrow an additional $100 million to acquire solar energy. And in the process, we are learning he has literally abandoned a solar energy project that required no capital outlay whatsoever in the amount of $80 million. No capital outlay whatsoever from this government. This announcement was made at the Afrexim Bank's office opening sometime in Barbados last week, my Straight Dog family.
Well advanced or in discussions in the CARICOM include the development of solar and geothermal energy plants in St. Kitts and Nevis amounting to $100 million by SWD Electric.
$100 million. And to rub salt in the financial wounds that such a decision will cost, no money up front in this public-private partnership, PPP arrangement, is the fact that after 20 years, the government has the option, or had the option, to own this 36 megawatt solar plant in an as-built condition. My Straight Dog family, if this abandonment story that I read is true, then I predict that in years to come, such a senseless decision by Dr. Drew would erode every aspect of investor confidence in the government of St. Kitts and Nevis. If this abandonment story is true, St. Kitts and Nevis would also feel the brunt of 2 European Union countries, namely Germany and Switzerland, also the brunt of the Canadian government. Dr. Drew has in short order proven to be a liar. I will, however, hate to believe that he lied to the country when he said this a few weeks ago, my straight dog family. I will hesitate to believe that he lied to the country when he made this statement.
As you know, when we came into office, there was a plan, but the plan had started even before, and we negotiated that plan. More information will come when the Minister of Energy speaks to it more specifically. But we are moving ahead with a renegotiated plan where our people would have an opportunity to own part of that company, and that is another aspect to developing our renewable energy sector. The other thing we are going to do is put out an RFP very shortly for a whole new energy plant, renewable energy, most likely solar, separate to this one that is coming on stream now. So we'll have two plants, and that one again, our people would have the opportunity to buy into it. We also have monies already invested, one in the geothermal, two in the first solar plant, and we are looking at the second solar plant where we'll put out the RFPs and to renewable energy.
Regarding that first solar plant, where will it be located?
At needs must.
At needs must.
Yes.
As a matter of fact, my straight dog family, the former Prime Minister Denzel Douglas provided this advice to his cabinet colleagues in November of last year. At the press conference, Douglas said this about the same solar farm development.
We were in Barbados a few weeks ago when the European Union outlined its development support programs for the Caribbean, like it would do for the African and the Pacific countries. We want to make sure that in the rolling out of those programs, our agenda that we are speaking of today would be realized. We have to strengthen the relationship with partners who are committed to assist us in transforming our country, making our country better to resist the challenges that we will face. That we would be able not to have continuing disruptions in the supply of electricity, but that we would develop the capacity to generate our own electricity. Get going with the geothermal in Nevis, get going with the solar plant we are trying to establish here. That's what we want to do. And we want to encourage countries who are friendly to us to assist us in this regard. I had a call from the ambassador of Germany, who is in Barbados, serving in Trinidad and Tobago, serving St. Kitts, about their support for solar. This is important. So we need to get going with what we're doing, get it done, so that we can have better lives. People over there want to help us.
Get going is what Douglas advised them. But if the story I've read that they have abandoned the solar farm, all I can say is in the course of time, the truth must come to light. My straight dog family, I believe that we all want progress. But progress means getting nearer to the place where you want to be. And if you have taken a wrong turn, then continue going forward will not get you any nearer. If you are on the wrong road, progress means taking or doing an about turn and walking back to the right road. And in that case, the man who turns back soonest will be the most progressive man. On the 5th of August 2022, we change for the worse. My people, as we reflect upon the performance of Dr. Drew and his Labour administration over the past year, we must all agree that it does not matter which party you support. The cost of living is getting higher and higher. Crime continues to escalate. Poor people are suffering more daily. There are no new jobs available. There is no water. Housing is no longer affordable. It is time to get our country back on track. My Straight Dog family. The road is long and our burdens are heavy. But we will make it if we bond together. Be inclusive and not exclusive. The journey will be long and hard, but we must begin somewhere. And our first point of duty as a people must be to get rid of Terence Michael Drew out of the office of Prime Minister. Give somebody else a chance. He has failed us and continues to fail us and will continue to fail us miserably. There are no other options available. No two ways about it. If we fail to act now, life in St. Kitts will get even harder than it is right now under Dr. Drew. Look at what this government has done to poor people in this country, my Straight Dog family. Imagine, it came to office as we had just about recovered, or perhaps in our final recovery from the pandemic, the coronavirus-induced pandemic, that brought the world to a complete halt. A pandemic never seen in 100 years. Drew met over 7,000 persons on the Poverty Alleviation Program, the PAP. And this was revealed by the Minister, Jeffrey Hanley.
When the St. Kitts Nevis Labour Party won the general elections on August 5th, 2022, there were 7,469 payees receiving either regular PAP or PAP as expanded for COVID. The monetary value for each was $3,480,000, payable to 6,960 regular PAP beneficiaries and $254,500 to PAP as expanded for COVID, 509 beneficiaries. This totaled a grand payout of $3,734,500.
The cabinet of Dr. Drew, having met 7,000 persons or more on PAP, then ruled that everyone must re-register for the program. When that process was over in December 2022, approximately 5,000 more people registered, even though all did not register because some couldn't handle the computer and technology. But today, this government is paying almost 3,000 less people on the PAP, although there were so many more applications, my Straight Dog family.
We paid on the 30th of June, I'll get that number for you, 5,361 households are receiving PAP at this time. Remember, when we closed applications in December, 11,639 applied. Of that number, 8,985 were eligible. All right? And so that now, if you take 5,361 from that number, it's over 60% of the applications are being paid. I know for some persons being in the 40%, to them it's unfair.
It must be unfair. And not even unfair. It is discriminatory, heartless. But that approach was aimed at Team Unity supporters. But the net captured everyone, including the many St. Kitts Nevis Labour Party supporters. So is this something for poor people to celebrate after 1 year? Hell no, my straight dog family. Because thousands of poor people have been removed from the PAP and deprived of $500 each month. When Drew promised, while in opposition, that he would increase the PAP. But lo and behold, plans to increase their salaries by over $8,500 per month was decried and continues to be decried by every citizen and resident in this country as being unconscionable and nothing but shameful. Cabinet members voice their support for an increase in salary even at this difficult time, my straight dog family. Could you imagine that? Even at this time, they are looking for an increase in salary.
Are we planning to also raise the ministers' salaries to discourage the corruption? Minister Henderson?
That's above my pay grade. But I'm hoping that the ministers can in fact get an increase in salary. It's something that I would not be opposed to.
Jeffrey Hanley, on the other hand, who seem anxious to get an increase, my straight dog family, he tried to bring a different perspective to the issue of this salary raise.
And if I can interject just before the AG, in 2021, when I had the opportunity of participating in the budget of the former administration, I must say to us here tonight that there was an allotment of 85% increase in the budget of that year for parliamentarians. So it was already on the books. So I think the AG going to say something.
On the books? But Team Unity had a heart. Would they increase salaries by 85% and things that are so hard in St. Kitts? Garth Lucian Wilkin spoke to the appropriate law with his smartness.
The law in regard to salaries for parliamentarians and speaker and other persons in the National Assembly is the Salary Commission legislation, which says that a committee should meet every 3 years to recommend to the Parliament what the salary should be. That commission is supposed to take into consideration inflation, look at factors such as comparatives in other jurisdictions with similar economies and all of those things. The previous National Assembly approved the increase that was recommended by the commission.
My straight dog family, imagine though, the only justification at this time for this 85% increase in the salary of ministers was purported by Garth Lucian Wilkin to be a measure that will discourage corruption. I told you they were corrupt.
In order to discourage ministers being corrupt, they should be paid well. Yes, you're doing a public service. However, you should be able to take care of your family. But it should also be reasonable so that you can satisfy your obligations. And when the person comes with the potential bribe, you can tell them, no, I don't want that.
Yes, I told you they were corrupt. The only rationale for this 85% increase advanced by Garth Lucian Wilkin was to protect against, or to discourage, to use his words, corruption. My Straight Talk family, I was always cautious from the moment I heard Garth Lucian Wilkin trying to impose his ideas of morality upon all and sundry in the country. He came across like a pagan of virtue. But those of us who knew him well knew that he had crooked ways. We knew that, my Straight Dog family.
And I believe that it's important to know that no true leader, no leader that excels in a leadership role can do so without integrity. And what is integrity? It's the quality of being honest and having strong moral principles. Honesty, sincerity, strong moral principles, making decisions for the greater good, not for personal needs. These are the key elements of integrity. Whoever walks in integrity walks securely, but he who makes his ways crooked will be found out. Amen.
So let it be. Amen. Garth Lucian Wilkin made his way crooked, and he was found out. It was found out that he deducted monies from his nanny's salary or wages for her social security contributions and never paid those monies to the Social Security Board in accordance with the Social Security legislation. It was dishonest, fraudulent conduct in which he indulged before and after he became president of the St. Kitts Nevis Bar Association. He indulged in a criminal offense before and after he was sworn in as Attorney General and Minister of Justice and Legal Affairs, but was never taken to court, while some are presently in jail for the same offense. I spoke to you of two brothers who are in 1840, sent there for 4 months, and he's out as free as a bird. A judge opined, my Straight Dog family, that whether a social security payment is made after the time prescribed by the legislation constitutes rather a criminal offense, whether or not the law is strictly enforced. A criminal offense is what he committed. Garth Lucian Wilkin. But Garth Lucian Wilkin is a special blue-eyed boy or blue-eyed boy who is a special advisor, or rather a special advisor wrote about him. This special advisor to the Prime Minister wrote this about the cycle of pedigree, my Straight Dog family. He wrote about the cycle of pedigree, politics, and endemic malaise. The source is Edinburgh's Facebook page, my Straight Dog family. And this is what he wrote about the Senator and Attorney General Garth Lucian Wilkin. Mr. Prime Minister, he wrote, how does Garth Wilkins, the son of oligarch Charles Wilkin, got on the shot to be Attorney General of an St. Kitts Nevis Labour Party government, overwhelmingly elected by the ordinary people? And the notes continue, my Straight Dog family. That posted by a special advisor to the Prime Minister, Dr. Joe. Recall Senator Nigel Carty, who returned to St. Kitts Nevis to rejoin the Labour fold. No doubt felt as well that those days were over and done. But Nigel Carty, he too got the shock of his life.
These are not the days 20 years ago, 30 years ago, when only Charles Wilkins and a few people who look like him were lawyers in the country.
Nigel Carty, you were dead wrong. As Garth Lucian Wilkin is now the chief legal advisor to our Labour Prime Minister. After 1 year in office, ask yourselves, is that something for Bradshaw and Douglas to celebrate? Hell no. Then you heard breaking news, breaking news, breaking news. Housing revolution was the shout. 2,400 homes in 4 years, 600 homes per year. Nobody seemed to know about East Coast Housing Development, a company that has never built a foul pen or a foul cube. Then belatedly, Jeffrey Hanley tried to justify the $600 million government guarantee provided to get the project started. He made this very clear announcement, my Straight Dog family.
It must be clearly stated, Madam Deputy, that the East Coast Housing Development Limited of Trinidad and Tobago was engaged by the government of St. Kitts and Nevis before the general elections that were held in August 5th, 2022. I want it to be clearly heard that before there was a housing minister in this country by the name of Jeffrey Hanley, the government of St. Kitts and Nevis had engaged the East Coast Housing Development Limited of Trinidad and Tobago. That's a fact.
What is he trying to say? I ask myself so many times. Because the Team Unity administration never approved or gave any guarantee to East Coast Housing Development. The Labour Party did. And in the past 3 months, there have been 3 different designs for these houses. The latest one done by Williams Architecture. But our people must be forewarned that all that glitters is not gold. The houses, my Straight Dog family, will still be built with China fiber cement boards, my Straight Dog family. China fiber cement board, as I said, my Straight Dog family. So we all have to be cautious what we are getting into, my Straight Dog family. These houses, according to Jerry, who said this about the factory.
I live in China. My partner in China, we export all the goods. We have projects in St. Kitts, and now we feel that this is the right time to start the process. So we're actually bringing in a team to set up the factory and to instruct how to use Creedform.
My Straight Dog family, a few days ago, after a prolonged silence, Dr. Drew, Jeffrey Hanley, and the Phantom Builder Singh from Trinidad and Tobago appeared in Connery Village to make these announcements, my Straight Dog family. And Jeffrey gloated with this announcement.
Talking about a mother home, we're talking about a mother home. It will be fully furnished, air conditioned, fence, everything, showing you, the public, exactly how your home can look like.
Dr. Drew, my Straight Dog family, spoke to the houses being affordable.
I'm extremely excited that in less than a year, we are able really to start the new housing revolution. It really demonstrates the commitment of this your government to making sure that we fulfill our pledge to you, the people of St. Kitts and Nevis, in providing affordable housing.
I've heard this talk being bandied about affordable housing. And what is affordable housing? Because it is important to understand the disparity between income and the cost of rent or mortgage. And according to a recent survey by Harvard University, from a sample of 10.9 million renters, 1 in 4 spend more than half of their income on housing. The U.S. government, however, sets an income affordability standard for housing at 30%. Affordable housing is housing that costs 30% or less of a household's gross income, including utilities, or put another way, it means that after paying rent or your mortgage, you should still have enough money for necessities like food, healthcare, and transportation. And how is this calculated? Now, according to the Department of Housing and Urban Development, HUD, anyone paying more than 30% of their income on housing is cost burdened. And anyone paying more than 50% of their income on rent is severely cost burdened. And this income threshold was established by Senator Edward Brooke, co-author of the Civil Rights Act of 1968, a landmark law that included fair housing regulations. Now, Brooke wrote an amendment to the National Housing Act, a law originally passed way back in 1934, known as the Brooke Amendment. And this Brooke Amendment set the threshold for what households could affordably pay for housing. At the time, the cap was 25%, but in 1981, it was raised to 30%. Now, here in St. Kitts and Nevis, there is a National Housing Corporation Act, which is quite interesting, my Straight Dog family. And the National Housing Corporation Act speaks to, yes, the functions and the establishment of the National Housing Corporation. And very important in terms of the functions of this particular piece of legislation, my Straight Dog family. And it speaks to the functions of the corporation. And one of the functions always pops up to me, that is to provide housing for the indigent and the infirm. Indigent and infirm. But don't be fooled, my Straight Dog family. Do not be fooled. Because these houses are not for poor people. They are according to the blue-eyed boy in cabinet, Garth Lucian Wilkin. They are for those people, according to him, who are bankable. You remember this, my Straight Dog family? It still obtains.
It is not government buying the houses or NHC buying the houses. It's individuals buying the houses. This is the solution for persons who are bankable and can take a mortgage loan from a credit union or a bank, and they can purchase their one-bedroom house for $111,000, their two-bedroom for $213,000, and their three-bedroom for $297,000.
So, it's not for you, the poor people. Imagine 2,400 houses, 2,400 houses, and poor man under Jew labor cannot get one house with air condition and fence, according to Jeffrey. How could that be a progressive government, according to Brian Singh?
I want to say we are very pleased to partner with a progressive government, a government for, by, and of the people. And we see with this partnership that not just one constituency, as the Prime Minister rightly said, will benefit, but the entire federation will. There are no surprises where this is concerned, as the government is a government of open and transparency, and we are saying together we can make this thing happen.
How could a government of, for, and by the people, the majority who are poor, who vote for them, how can they build houses and not one for the poor man? If there are no surprises, Brian Singh, and the government is open and transparent, why is the contract a secret? Why? They increase the size of the homes at no additional cost. A serious variation at no additional cost. My straight dog family. A bigger house at no increased cost. But somebody is making plenty money. I submit, my straight dog family.
And I was happy that we had that open fair, the house fair, because it gave us an opportunity to be able to go back to the drawing board to present something that will blow the minds of our people when we are delivering the homes. Whereas a one-bedroom was 450 square feet. Now, a one-bedroom will be 592 square feet. A two-bedroom was 862 square feet. It's now 879 square feet. And a three-bedroom that was 1,200. Under this new initiative, a three-bedroom is 1,288 square feet. These larger homes will not attract any additional cost.
Very interesting, my straight dog family. When you calculate the cost per square foot, the additional variation cost amounts to over $4 million. So who absorbed that $4 million? Where was it going? Dr. Drew? Jeffrey Hanley? Or who? Who did? Whose profit is reduced? Is this housing arrangement something to celebrate, my straight dog family? Hell no. Dr. Drew has spoken about accomplishments towards a sustainable island state, my straight dog family.
1 year ago, we embarked on a journey with a pledge to bring positive change, progress, and prosperity to every corner of our beloved nation. Today, as we reflect on the past 12 months, we can proudly say that we have made significant strides towards fulfilling that commitment and establishing our sustainable island state.
My straight dog family, as a federation of two islands, we must therefore strive to balance our economic, social, and environmental needs for the present and future generations. For example, We spoke earlier about investing in renewable energy. We can think as well of investing in tourism, agriculture, and other sectors. But we are now struggling with our foreign direct investment, which is mainly derived from our CBI program, our Citizenship by Investment program, which is under serious scrutiny and threat from the European Union or Schengen countries. We are struggling with safety and security. 1 year ago, Dr. Jew inherited a country with crime on the decrease at an all-time low. He confessed, my straight dog family. This he confessed.
We are happy that crime statistics have continued to be at an all-time low, particularly in terms of gang-related homicides. The Ministry of National Security has set as a target the downward trend in homicide from the previous 15-year low of 10 to a single digit. A target is also set for improving the major crime detection rate by 15%.
The straight dog family, from an all-time low in 1 year, homicides on the Jew have catapulted from 10 murders to 27 murders in just 1 year of this administration. We are struggling as well with self-sufficiency in the food we consume, my straight dog family. But with an import bill of nigh $200 million and an increasing trade deficit, how sustainable can we become with such a trajectory, my straight dog family? Yes, a trade deficit. You understand that there will be growth in terms of our outlook, our projections. But my straight dog family, one final thing everybody tends to overlook. Through it all, there is no opposition, my straight dog family. There's no opposition that could be judged on the following: how well it holds the government to account, how well it proposes alternatives to government policies and to what the government is doing, how well it agrees with the government when a solution to a problem has wide support and is soundly based, or how well it presents itself as an alternative government. That's the role of an opposition. But unfortunately, there's none. My straight dog family, I can talk all night. I'm in that mood, as you can recognize. But ours is a participative program. So let me hear from you, my straight dog family. Let me hear from you. But without any fear of contradiction, I will conclude for now that we have nothing really to celebrate after 1 year of this Jew administration. That's my story tonight, my straight dog family, and I am not going to change it. I will open the lines and entertain your calls and your emails. Those who may have joined me the first time, the numbers are on the screen there: 646-829-6672. That's the overseas number. That number has access to WhatsApp messages. Our local number is 869-663-6672, my straight dog family. And if you like the cloak of anonymity, I give you access all times via my email platform, and the address is straighttalkpatches@gmail.com. That's one word, STRAIGHTTALK @gmail.com. I always like to implore you, though, before I go to the lines, and I'll open the lines in a few seconds. Respect others. And of course, to achieve that, you must first respect yourselves. Let us try to be fair to all concerned. Let us try to build goodwill and better friendship. Let us, in saying and or doing those things, let us ensure it is beneficial to all concerned. And in the process of saying and doing anything, let us strive to build a kinder, gentler St. Kitts and Nevis. With that said, at 16 past 9, I go to the lines and say, caller, thank you for holding you alive.
Mr. Patrick, good night.
Good night. Good night, the Bible man. Good night. You're batting number one already. I am peaceful. Yourself?
Well, I am peaceful too. Now, I have got a couple words. Now, I am not going to be too long. Mr. Patrick, there was in Exodus chapter 14, Pharaoh was the taskmaster, and he used to treat the Israelites so bad. So God get Moses to be a deliverer. And so God talked to Moses, must go and look after his people. And then when Moses went, the children of Israel were there. And to make a long story short, Exodus chapter 14, Pharaoh started to go after the children of Israel. And the children of Israel started to bawl to God. God people. And God talked to Pharaoh. Listen, God talked to Moses and tell him that the Israelites that you see now, you won't see them no more. And the children of Israel started to bawl. They went to the Red Sea. And when they go into the Red Sea, they start to bawl about the taskmaster. And so God sent a deliverer to deliver the children of Israel. They went to the Red Sea. God tell Moses, when the children of Israel went on the dry ground, God tell Moses, put back your rod. And so God have power over the Egyptian. So no, the Israelites, they will have a deliverer, and that was said into the Bible. So, Mr. Patrick, we in this world, God sent Jesus Christ to deliver us from sin. And so we have a deliverer. Good night, Mr. Patrick. May the good Lord bless you and keep you. And may his face to shine upon you. And take it easy, Mr. Patrick.
Okay, my brother.
God.
All right.
God is going to see you too. Good night. Bye.
Good night, my dear brother. Thanks for your usual intervention and for your Bible verses and reminding us as well that God will take care of all of us. One of the things, though, we have to do is to believe. The lines are open, my Straight Dog family. 663-6672 is the local number. Let's go back to the lines. Caller, you're live. Hello, caller.
That is good night.
Good night, sir.
My name is
Lennox Liburd. I would hope that you would entertain my discussion in regards to your dissertation tonight, which speaks to nothing really to celebrate after 1 year. My main concern tonight is about the location of water in Keyon. I know for a fact a few persons in Keyon, they were not about seeing Keyon people getting a sufficient supply of potable water. Fact. Especially under a team unity administration. They were seriously about politics and petty and partisan politics. But if you would permit me to preface a little history of the water exploration for the Keyon community on behalf of the company they call BEAD, I would appreciate, I'll be very grateful for you to give me a little time.
You have an interest in BEAD? Any particular interest?
I have no particular interest in BEAD.
Okay.
No particular interest. But if you permit me to speak on behalf of what I know, or one of the only Keyon villager who has an abundance of knowledge about what transpired from 2015 until present day in regard to the water situation, which is a vexing situation in the village of Keyon, I'll be very thankful. And so without continuing to prolong anything, I would hope that you give me the time in which to explain.
Well, how much time do you want, though? Because I have callers here waiting. I can give you 4 minutes. That's enough for you?
Well, yes. If you give me 4 minutes, that will be fine.
Thank you.
And I thank you very much. And you would remember that BEAD in January of 2015 was given a contract of some $4 million US. You know that. And so BEAD would have sent the geophysics to locate and deliver up to about 2 million imperial gallons per day. And so the government of the day, the St. Kitts Nevis government, made a down payment to BEAD for some $750,000 US. You are fully aware of that. But we will move forward quickly, since I only have 4 minutes. And I would respect you in your capacity as minister responsible for water in that day. And so Minister Liburd, if you would remember, had a meeting and where you would have stated that the contract that was given to BEAD was null and void. Fast forward. But there was a gentleman from somewhere in Miami, and you might want to tell the people of St. Kitts and Nevis, and especially the people in Keyon, this is a vexing matter. Who is Sandy Nettles? Who is or was this company by the name of OET, Ocean Earth Technology? And as you quite rightly asked me this question a while ago, if I have a special interest, indeed, I would like to send that same question back to you. Did you have a special interest in OET?
Not at all.
Not at all.
Ocean
Earth. Let me continue. Let me continue quickly.
No, please.
Yes, go ahead.
Ocean Earth Technology, right, is a company that did work on the Bastia Valley Aquifer and well familiar to the government since in 2000.
That's all I know about.
Since 2007, right? And just to make the point as well that the contract you're referring to was a contract signed by the then PS under the Labour administration for BEAD. And BEAD had 12 months in which to deliver, if you recall, right? And I remember as well yourself and the other partner, BEAD's partner, Ron Isaac, came to the office.
That is correct.
And so you're not really truthful when you say you have no interest in BEAD. So you were in fact speaking about BEAD in my office. But go ahead, sir.
Well,
go ahead. Just make a point.
I don't have any particular interest in BEAD. My partner, my brother, Rawlinson Isaac, who have put serious monies into the development and the location of water for Keyon people.
So what is the point you're making about Keyon? Forget the frills. Just make the point. Because
his main interest, Patches, was to find water in Keyon for Keyon people. But you, Patches Liburd, discontinued and claimed that the contract that BEAD had was null and void. You went on to say, Patches, that there was some geologist or hydrologist or whatever you call him, that the United Nations would have sent to the scientific government or what have you, and he would have told you, Patches, that not one expletive of water, drop of water, that BEAD will find in Keyon. And so you continue week after week by telling the people of the Federation and the world that all BEAD is interested in is not to extract water, but to
extract money.
You said not to extract water, but I want to quote you.
But I know what it is. I'm telling you what I said. To extract money from the treasury, as they abstracted $2 million from Nevis, and that's a fact.
I don't know about the Nevis.
You don't know about that, but you've heard.
No, I don't.
Did you hear the Premier said? Did you?
I am going to talk straight.
Yes,
because all this information, Patches, for the last 5 years, you, Patches Liburd, have deprived the people of Keyon potable water for the last 5 years. But the people of Keyon will get this full story. I will go to the length of Keyon on PA system, and you, Patches Liburd, I will be calling you out with all what you did to the Keyon people. Water has been found in Keyon now. What do you have to say? Because you tell the world that BEAD only is interested in extracting water. They are not and so I will let the people of Keyon know this, because I think what you have done to the Keyon people is nothing close or far from criminality. Have a good evening, because I have all information.
Before you go, just also be aware, and you should tell the people as well, right?
Yes.
That in 2017, BEAD found water in Shadwell.
Yes. Oh, yes.
Right? And from 2017, they have not commissioned one of the wells, which should yield 200,000 or 300,000 gallons. 300,000 gallons of water, right? Because of the high arsenic content. It's poisonous. And they have not rectified that well. And you're aware of that, right?
I am fully aware of that.
Okay, fine. So you said, the last thing I said before you go is that BEAD, you said BEAD has found water. We have not, you're not the hydrogeologist, You're not the water engineer, and you are Lennox Liburd. You're Liburd like me, right?
That is correct.
You can't determine that Bede found potable water because they drilled and they found some water. You have to determine the quantity and the quality. And let me say this here to you before you leave as well. This is what Mark Brantley said about Bede.
Wait, hold on.
No, wait.
I don't want to hear nothing about Nevis and Mark Brantley.
No, I'm going to tell you. No, I'm
speak to me about Keyon.
No, I'm going to tell you about Bede. We're talking about Bede.
I don't want to hear about Bede and Nevis.
If you don't want to hear, then hang up. Then because this is what
I am not going to hang up because I want to entertain you.
No, but you had enough, right? If you don't want to listen to this, then you hang up.
How can I have enough?
This is what
when you tell me to hold on. I want to read to you what Dr. Henry Subumba said about you.
It doesn't matter. It really doesn't matter. This is what Mark Brantley said about Bede. Since you don't want to hear, the country will hear, the world will hear. This is what Mark Brantley said about Bede.
As I indicated publicly before, we had made a commitment to have an additional 3 wells done at a global cost of $10 million EC dollars back in 2017. In fact, it was in August of 2017 that we paid to a company called Bede just over $2 million EC dollars as a down payment. Bede has never come to do the work for the government. And so we don't have our $2 million and we don't have any wells. We have decided to take legal action against Bede that is ongoing. So it has not been for want of trying in relation to water.
Yes, $2 million owed to the Nevis Island administration. And you heard that from the Premier of Nevis. Caller, you're live.
Good evening, Mr. Liburd.
Good evening, sir.
I've been listening with some eager ears about this discussion with Keyon Water. I'm very angry and disappointed in the person who was speaking to you and blaming you for Keyon Water shortage. Let me introduce myself. I was born in Shaw Avenue on June 29, 1945. I came to Keyon in 1950 and attended the Keyon School. Around 1950, when I was in third standard, the late Sidney Morris took our class up in Green Hill Mountain to source the water source in Keyon. That water was not for Keyon people benefit, but for the benefit of the sugar factory. During those years, I lived both in Keyon and at the factory because my mother worked for then Mr. Gilander, who is chief electrical engineer. So I have intimate knowledge about Keyon water. As far back as 1955, Keyon people have been suffering with water. That was long before you even think of politics. So it's unfair to blame you for any of the ills in Keyon water. Sidney Morris became the deputy premier. And we still had the problem. The flows, but the water started to go to the people in Figure. It was diverted. Today, if you go up to New Road, and you pass Douglas Estate, where the corner into Monkey Hill, that with the pipe and water, where the corner has other cold water, that water comes directly from Green Hill. So what I'm saying is that Keyon people have been robbed of water for the benefit of Barcia and other places, and it's unfair. And it is just utter nonsense for this gentleman to start to blame any of Keyon water areas. And when people don't know, they don't have the facts, they should not open their mouth and speak about what they don't know. I grew up in Keyon. I left here in 1956, and when I left, they had the problem. You inherit, whoever is minister, we get in water in Kenya, and they inherit that problem. And what needs to happen is they need to a desert in Kenya, or they must decide to give Kenya its free share of the water out of Green Mountain, because that water is in Kenya.
You know.
Now, when I say,
sorry, go ahead.
When we talk about a desal plant, I am telling you that if they would go down to 20% flat land and put down a desal plant, they can get water from the sea to convert it. I know of a company that can do just that, and all they have to do is get a pump with a head of over 120 feet head that can lift the water from the sea up to the water plant, the desal plant. Build a 500,000 gallon cistern in the same area because there's sufficient land area to do that, and use that as a source to supply Kenya people. That's the only intelligent solution you can have for dealing with the Kenya issue. Anybody else who talks about anything else during a well of chemistry here, in my opinion, that when you do get the water, you will have to lift water several hundred feet. Because when you find water, you still have to drill down to create storage, so it could be sustained. And I don't see that as being economically feasible to drill up Chemistry Hill. Personally, I think I see it as more economical to put a water plant down in Hermitage, and then build some water towers. They could put one just above the school in the project, and you could put the other one in waterworks and feed Kenya by gravity. In today's world of technology, that's the most economically feasible situation to use. And with that, I'll say have a pleasant good night, Mr. Francis. And don't allow anybody to tell you any nonsense about holding you accountable for whatever happened in Kenya and the water. Because that problem exists long before you.
Thank you.
And that I knew because I grew up in Kenya. I walked the streets of Kenya. I drank water in Kenya. Years ago, before Mr. Abbas's time, even when the white man had it, they ran a pipe from up here all the way down to Cunningham Estate. Even when they cut the rock off water in Kenya, the white man had water at his premises because Cunningham Estate had water. I had to walk from half of Kenya down to how much to fish water in a bucket. So I understand that. Long before whoever was talking. So I'm saying to you, do not let people tell you any nonsense. Just put them in the place because it is unfair to you to call you responsible for the aims of Kenya water. Have a good night, sir.
Have a good night, my dear brother. Everyone is entitled to their opinion, right? And yes, there's some people, they talk from a point of ignorance, yet they sound so positive and yet don't know a thing what they're talking about. But on Straight Talk, we entertain them. But at times it's going to be a time rather when enough would be enough. Because if you're talking nonsense, then we can't be allowed to peddle nonsense across the airwaves. And perhaps if you just join us, my Straight Talk family, we are in fact discussing our thesis tonight, my thesis tonight, nothing really happened. Nothing to celebrate, I should say, after 1 year. We've heard the point being made about water in Keon, and the minister said as well that, to use his words, and I'll play the soundbite for you. I never thought it made much of a sense in terms of something to be gloating about, because, as I said to you before, and this is what the Congress Maynard had to say about water in Keon. Drilling started just sometime last week about Makia, and they have the capacity to drill up to 400 feet. And the contract that we met in 2015 gave BEAD the authority to drill for water 400 feet and below the Earth's surface. The government had the right to drill for water up to 400 feet. So that would not interfere with any contract with BEAD. But I stick to my position. I'm happy. I'll be happy for the people of Keon. If after all these decades and all these engineers that passed through the Water Sources Department, going back from Sebastian, Sumsel, Dublin, Athel Rollins, Christmas, how could I forget Dr. Christmas? And for BEAD to come and find water, that would be good for Keon and the people of Keon. But whatever BEAD finds, we expect the Bureau of Standards, the multipurpose lab, to independently test the quality of that water BEAD would have found. Because BEAD found water in Shadwell some 6 years ago. And when that well was commissioned with a yield of 300,000 gallons of water per day, it was found that the arsenic level in that water was too high. It would poison people. And I want to warn the people of Keon, no matter what you hear that loudmouth is saying, I warn you, Drew will be happy and they'll be happy. But if Dr. Drew can give or deliver water in a fire truck, I believe he will give you arsenic water as well. And this water, I am sure, if those same people are at the multipurpose lab, at the Bureau of Standards, they would make certain that the water, whatever water is found, is water that the human being can consume. This is what Connery said.
I just wanted to make a quick comment.
Yes, I wanted to announce to the nation that we have struck water in Keon today.
Wow. Wonderful.
So the next step now is to get to where most of that water is, and then we have to test it to see if it is potable.
Excellent. Thank you very much. There again, your government working for you.
Potable. Some people say potable.
Okay, and he knows the steps. The next step, he said, is to get where most of the water is and to test it. Because like I said before, the last time Bede drilled for water in St. Kitts, the water cannot be consumed after 6 years. And that cannot be disputed. Arsenic level in that water, too high, poisonous. So you have to be careful if the same, and try to avoid the same thing happen in Kean, my straight dog family. But that's enough for Bede. As I said, and for the loudmouth Liburd, he didn't want to hear this. When they would have finished drilling water in Kean, Mark Brantley has said he wants his water or he wants his $2 million. This is what Mark Brantley said. Mark Brantley said this.
As I indicated publicly before, we had made a commitment to have an additional 3 wells done at a global cost of 10 million EC dollars back in 2017. In fact, it was in August of 2017 that we paid to a company called Bede just over 2 million EC dollars as a down payment. Bede has never come to do the work for the government. And so we don't have our $2 million and we don't have any wells. We have decided to take legal action against Bede, that is ongoing. So it has not been for want of trying in relation to water.
So, the Premier of Nevis for Bede, he wants his $2 million or his water. The choice is yours. You have an interest in Bede. Hello, caller, you're live. Are you there, caller?
Hello?
Yes, you're live. Hello?
Hello.
Are you there, caller?
Hello.
Yes, you're
Good
live.
night, Patrick.
Good
How are
night.
you doing, brother?
I am peaceful, my lord. Yourself?
Sorry to come here. I'm good too, man. I'm peaceful. I'm sorry to come here today.
Better to be late than never, it said.
Yeah, well, before I forget one of my topics, I like the soundbite that you played with the blue-eye mulatto man when he said about the 85% increase for parliamentarian. You hear what he said, what he based it on?
Corruption.
Right. So therefore, the 85% increase ain't passed yet. So that means what going on now is corruption. And I ain't gonna rescind and I ain't gonna take back that. Because if he could make a statement like that, what that tell the people them? That tell the people, well, okay, corruption is going on, so we want 85% increase. Anyway, I don't need that. Let me go here. A lot of people move the thing, never. He coming through the phone. Sorry about that, Patches. A lot of people have learned Psalms 23 in church and also in Sunday school. A lot of people know what Psalm 23 says, go right down to the end of it. But they are not following what Psalm 23 says. Because when you look at it, if a woman, a person like Miss Rosa Parks, never follow her conscience, let her conscience be her dictator, what would have happened to black people today riding on public transportation and in public service places? All because Rosa Parks stood up. Because she realized that they were discriminating against black people. And she determined her conscience is going to be her guide. Thank God for she. The same thing with Dr. Martin Luther King. He let his conscience guide him. And because he followed his conscience, black people have a lot of privilege now in America and all over the world to follow our democratic rights. And that is to vote and stand up and sit wheresoever you want in a public place. Then we go down to South Africa. Nelson Mandela was in prison for 27 years. I think he went in 1963. But anyway, he was put in prison because he decided to let his conscience be his dictator. Let it dictate for him. And he followed his conscience. He never afraid. And then come home here, Mr. Bradshaw let his conscience lead him. When he took over the sugar factory from England, he said, no, this belongs to us here in St. Kitts. Mr. Bradshaw let his conscience guide him. And because of that, we were able to get more from our sugar when Mr. Bradshaw controlled the sugar factory. And then in our parliament here, when former Prime Minister Dr. Harris stood up for the rights of the citizens of St. Kitts with the land swap business, Dr. Harris, when he said, if I perish, man. If I perish, I perish. Is Dr. Harris' conscience allow him to stood up and say, if he perish, you perish? Because he could have followed the leader and stay on his side and agree with him to do what he did with the land. But he let his conscience guide him. So I am calling all who has a conscience, let your conscience be all your guide. You all just go church. You all know what 23rd Psalm say. Do not be afraid of man. Man can only harm you physically, but they cannot harm you spiritually. God is who man's supposed to respect and fear the punishment that will come from God when we do not follow our conscience to do what is right. Do not afraid of man. Stand up for your right. Everyone has a democratic right to speak and vote and march. And because of man, you're all afraid, man. Are you doing what you're supposed to do? Come on, man. Congratulations to Kenneth Richards today. Sean Richards. I only heard a little piece of what he said. I didn't hear him from beginning. And I admire him and kudos to him for standing up and saying what those people celebrating about. What are celebrating about? Nonsense, turn with people, tell lies, and refuse to continue positive, constructive plan that was in the pipeline from the farmer administration. They ain't doing no good. They shall leave there before 18 months. Patches, thank you very much. Let somebody else come in.
Thank you for your contribution tonight. Patches, for some time now, read this email. I have been requesting that Sean and Timothy come to the people to discuss the issues affecting this country caused by this failed Labour Party. I was happy today when Sean held a press conference and spoke about many problems affecting the people of this country, like inadequate health care, crime, poverty, and the social assistance programs that the government has taken away from the poor people. Sean has promised to come to we the people more often to keep this wicked and heartless government feet to the fire. I am looking for Timothy to do likewise. We need to hear him also read this email. This other email reads, Patches, didn't Team Unity take a bill to Parliament to increase the salary of parliamentarians? Patches, do you recall saying you supported the bill so that you can share more hot lunches? The difference they mentioned an increase, while Team Unity took it to the Parliament. Well, I understand the bill went to Parliament in 2021. At that time, unfortunately, fortunately, and or otherwise, I was not a member of the Parliament. I do remember speaking on a town hall. I remember somebody mentioned about increasing the salary. And yes, I said if I get a salary increase, then my constituents will get a bigger half of my salary. That's nothing to hide. We are very upset at Social Security. Read this email. Good evening, Patches. The staff at ICT complain every week on your program, and although they did not get much results, at least the country know what is going on up there. Well, we, the staff at the Social Security Board, is reaching out to you about some problems we are seeing. We are asking Mr. Curtis Martin to keep out of the building and stop intimidating the employees. Mr. Martin is not the director or an employee. He is a board member. Board members are not supposed to be involved with the day-to-day operations at Social Security. This is illegal and unethical. Why is Dr. Drew and Janet Harris allowing him to conduct himself in this manner? Patches, Janet Harris is a political figurehead. She knows nothing about the organization and will be recorded as the worst director ever based on what the workers are seeing. Curtis Martin is a political activist and mercenary who has his hand in every ministry trying to get jobs here, there, and everywhere. He's out of order. He's allegedly intimately involved. Social Security is an esteemed organization and doesn't deserve vagabonds to be in its offices almost every day of the week. It is also alleged that he's now threatening the employees with their jobs who do not find favor with his disrespectful rhetoric to him. Patches, every week I will send in emails until Curtis Martin learns his place. Reads that email. Patches, let Jeffrey, choice was here. He is a very big disappointment. I will work for the Ministry of Finance, and I work for the Ministry of Finance, beg your pardon, and for many years, the East Coast Company have been trying to get the unity government to agree to build those houses. Our boss, the Financial Secretary, advised the unity government to turn down the proposal more than once. Why is Jeffrey giving the impression that unity accepted and agreed to build those houses? Let Jeffrey give the citizens to build the houses and all by themselves and leave the unity government out of this. They are trying to give Garth's family, why is Garth say they are for bankable people? It is really bitter and not better under Labour. Reads that email. Let's go back to the lines. Caller, you're live. Hello, caller.
Hey, Patrick, what's going on?
I am peaceful, my brother. Yourself?
I'm fine, my buddy. How are you?
I am peaceful, Jam Down. Good to hear you. What's on your mind?
A lot of things, you know.
Are you celebrating?
A lot of things. Once man can fulfill the commitment of what you are start here, you don't have the problem. You understand what I'm saying?
I missed you just now. I didn't.
Once you can fulfill the commitment,
okay.
that the unity put in place,
okay,
you don't cause problems.
Right.
Because, as you tell me, Patrick, half of these men can't step up to what I have done in this country. It's real bad, Patrick. You know that, right?
That's the cry of everybody.
When you go around Bastille, Extension Village, further down in the countryside, east and west coast patches, things real bad. Real bad. You see, during the last election, MPs was giving everybody numbers to call them. But number change now. And I warning them, We want the money, We want the money back. We want back the $500, Poor people want back the $500 patches. Things is too rough. The mommy and papi, the shut-ins them need back the $500. Patches, I want to highlight something tonight. I want people to understand that in 1973, we achieved the Caribbean Netball Championship. Something we should have done happen years ago under all these administrations. And I want us to leave the politics alone give those girls the support. Let me come together. Don't just wait for a hurricane or earthquake like 74 for this country to come together. Let me do it for the weekend there and celebrate these girls. We need it. We need to do it. This country needs to come back together. Timothy was doing a good job trying to bring this country together. He didn't watch him one set of people and give them nothing, you know. He was dealing with everybody. That's why this man name got a call. And for why he do for 7 years, me going against him, you know. Me ain't going against him. At all. But yes, you have a good night. And you take care of yourself, eh? Because me ain't going to stop come. Hear the man culture.
Thank you, my dear brother. You take care of yourself to jam down. Good night, Mr. Liburd. This message is directed towards Dr. Drew. Can you please relate for me? Dr. Drew, why are you avoiding having a sit down with me concerning a matter you have intimate knowledge about? You expressed your concerns regarding the issue when you were just a mere doctor. Now you are the man. You have managed to duck me for 11 months. How much longer are you going to? When you are not off island, you are at a funeral or you're busy. You're letting your peers conduct the meeting. But all this still hasn't borne fruit. Time is longer than twine. You really need an advisor for advice to make an ethical and humane decision to correct a wrong that has spanned years. Mr. Liburd, I'm leaving my number to contact me. Yes, I've seen that. And I'll get my story out and get some justice for my suffering over the 6+ years. Reads that email. Patches, we are in the second half of the year. This government has said after 6 months, all those people who are qualified for the PAP will be added. This is August, and people are saying they have not gotten anything as yet. This is a wicked and heartless government. They need to stop fooling poor people. I hope the people will not accept this. They have to start protesting every day with placards down by government headquarters until they get the assistance they need to help them cope with the high cost of living. This government promised the people $1,500 and not even $500 they can get. Shameless, heartless, wicked government needs to resign immediately. No love for the poor people. Reads this other email. Dear Mr. Straight Talk, I listened with interest to the statement by the Minister of Housing that the model houses will be fully furnished and fenced. He therefore gave the impression that this is what each new home owner under the program will receive for the so-called affordable price. I believe this was his simplistic response to the sales pitch from the developers. I'm wondering if the minister understands that standard practice in displaying model homes involves sample furnishing, then so that potential buyers would get an idea of how they would look, but that the furnishings are not usually included when the actual units are finally built out to be delivered to the buyer. Reads this other email. Patches, I listened to the PAM press conference this morning, and I was very pleased and in fact very proud of the Honorable Sean Richards, who handled himself like a real opponent and statesman and the next Prime Minister. It is now time that Timothy and PLP fall back and allow PAM to take the lead to unseat this disgusting and worthless one-term government. We still loved him, and he obviously has much more to offer this country. But this is Pam time to assume leadership, even with his support. We must reunite against Labour. Patches, what is your opinion on this? Absolutely, alternatively, if PLP and Tim continues to curse Pam, then Labour will remain in power forever. Everyone is calling for unity. The past is the past. Let's go forward together again in unity with Pam at the helm. Reads this email. Very interesting perspective. This is a long email. Good night, Patches. I must say that your show is the only beacon of hope for an opposition in our country, which is sadly unfortunate. A country has no democracy if there is no opposition. However, what I have discovered is as long as the opposition has no money, they have no power and will not speak. What's that? Have no power and no will. I'm sorry, they have no power and no will to speak. I am not sure if you stashed away something for a rainy day so that you would have freedom of speech. However, it does not seem so for the PAM party of Mark Brantley. This is currently the hardest our economy has been for 20 years. The Liberal government is novice and immature, and it seems as if the Right Honorable Dr. Daniel Douglas is not being listened to, and he has taken a back seat while he works his way out and is totally unaffected because he has already served and is comfortable. What we currently need in this country is transparency. For CBI program, a way for us to know how we will survive if it goes down. Economic stimulation, and more than anything else, not corrupt or non-corrupt political leaders. Last but not least, coming out of a pandemic, a government not knowing how to run this country will make people poor and displaced. I am told that there is so much corruption currently taking place, but the opposition is afraid to speak because some of these same opposition ministers depend on the government to sign off on projects and CBI program initiatives that they are currently working on themselves. This simply means that all people have no hope. That is, of course, besides your show. I would like for your show to start inviting guests to speak more on how we can remove the Labour government, which is currently not equipped to run this country. Remember this email. We will have a new government by 2024. All the opposition needs is a very hefty campaign donor, and I guarantee you they will be able to speak on all the corruption. Reads this email. And yes, those are my emails. I think I have dispensed of all of them. I hope I have not missed any. And if I did, I don't think so. If I did, it was inadvertently and no intention to do it. It's 9 past the 10 o'clock hour. I know how time has flown tonight. And my Straight Talk family, you may have joined me late. And tonight, we looked at our dissertation, our short thesis, which we titled Nothing Really to Celebrate After 1 Year. And that seems to be the general consensus. That after 1 year of the Jew Labour administration, a majority of citizens and residents are asking what is there to celebrate when the country is facing crisis after crisis and numerous other problems. The first year of the Jew government has come to a close. Sadly, there is little to celebrate. The Labour Party promised to transform St. Kitts Nevis into a sustainable island state. And it sounds like a stuck record. And the basis on which they promised to achieve that goal sounds attractive, but I must admit, they spoke of 7 pillars. But as I said earlier, pillars can only stand tall and high if they are on a solid foundation. And the foundation laid by the Harris-led Team Unity Administration was a solid one. But Dr. Drew does not, in all cases, subscribe to the concept of continuous government. This has caused damage to the foundation. The pillars of labor are not strong enough and thus won't be able to stand tall and high. Furthermore, even after coming to power 1 year ago, Dr. Joe is still in the electioneering mode. He tries each time to wipe out, to obliterate the 7 successful years of any 7 most successful years, I should say, of any administration in St. Kitts Nevis between 2015 and 2022. I'm humbled to have served 5 of those 7 years. We've never seen development in such a short space of time. But in the process, Drew continues to ignore the responsibility of a prime minister. And that is to take the country ahead, enroll in the assistance of all the citizens and residents. The days, Dr. Drew, when a prime minister comes to office and utilizes half, or in your case, 48%, that's what you got, of the human resources of the country are over. Those days are long gone. You need to demonstrate a level of maturity. The past year has been a dull and dark, there has been a dull and dark shadow of uncertainty hanging over St. Kitts and Nevis. People are bewildered and confused. Instead of the promised recovery from COVID, they are witnessing a systematic attack on the educated and competent civil servants or public servants and on institutions having introduced an atmosphere of exclusiveness in all areas. The world continues to respond unevenly to what was a crippling global pandemic and the resulting economic fallout, and as such the role of governments is contested today as it was in the times way back, as far back as we can think about, when English economist John Maynard Keynes advanced a body of ideas on the theory of employment, interest, and money. My straight dog family. If we cannot fully agree on the role of government, then there will never be agreement on how best to measure the success and performance of governments. There's nothing especially new about those on low incomes bearing the heaviest cost of social and economic change. My straight dog family, the Federation's poor have long borne the brunt of most of the economic shocks the country has ever endured. Sad to say, my straight dog family, the opportunities have been largely missed. As the first year of the Drew government came to a close, sadly, there's nothing to celebrate. Job growth, manufactured output, and exports have plunged to an all-time low. Inflation, drought, and low or no farm incomes have made life miserable for Kittitian and Nevisians. Food prices have gone up. Gas prices have gone up as well. And even the bus drivers, my Straight Dog family, the bus drivers are threatening to strike. And they have support. They have support from even government sympathizers. And that is something that one has to look at closely, my Straight Dog family.
Every day they talk about striking the bus track.
But then do it.
Every day they talking striking the bus track.
Do it. Watch. You got some people don't pay attention unless something actually run amok, you know. If the bus were to strike, what it's gonna do to the economy? And you see how the economy running now.
I don't say this, right? I don't say this, I know why I'm vexed at the business.
Stop talk.
The fact that I'm here is shameful on them and talking about 1 year. How you could assess your salary every 3 years, but 15 years pass, and your heart no feel no way. We get information that they keep meetings on these issues and then I call us, because one of the things I hear coming out from them, they only could strike for 3 days. How you want to talk to the bossman them? If all your ain't start to take all your business serious, all you're going to be all your own demise. But I am telling you to work with the public as best as you can. And when the time comes, when we can't take it no more, well, somebody will got something on the record.
And Straight Dog family, we took a quick glance at the executive summary of the 2023 Global Risk Report of the World Economic Forum, which presents the results of the latest Global Risk Perception Survey. And the report stated that as 2023 began, the world was facing a set of risks that felt both wholly new and eerily or mysteriously familiar. You have seen a return of the older risks such as inflation, cost of living crisis, widespread social unrest, geopolitical confrontation, and the specter of nuclear warfare, which few of this generation's business leaders and public policymakers have experienced. The said report has predicted that the next decade will be characterized by environmental and societal crises driven by underlying geopolitical and economic trends. It has ranked the cost of living crisis as the most severe global crisis we will experience over the next 2 years, peaking in the short term. My Street Dog family, while current pressures should result in a turning point, encouraging right-thinking leaders of energy-importing countries like St. Kitts and Nevis to invest in secure, cleaner, and cheaper renewable energy sources, this current crop of misleaders, I call them, have in 1 year reversed the progress we have made on climate change mitigation. My Street Dog family, I've heard an announcement, and I do not believe it. It's about the abandonment of the solar farm. And I predict, if that is true, that in years to come, such a senseless decision by Dr. Drew would erode every aspect of investor confidence in the government of St. Kitts and Nevis. If this abandonment story is true, St. Kitts and Nevis will also feel the brunt of 2 EU countries, namely Germany and Switzerland, also the brunt of the Canadian government. My Straight Dog family, Drew has in short order been proven to be a stranger to the truth. If I can be modest, my straight dog family. As a matter of fact, Douglas provided this advice to the cabinet, my straight dog family. And to date, Drew has not heeded this advice from Douglas.
We were in Barbados a few weeks ago when the European Union outlined its development support programs for the Caribbean, like it would do for the African and the Pacific countries. We want to make sure that in the rolling out of those programs, our agenda that we are speaking of today would be realized. We have to strengthen the relationship with partners who are committed to assist us in transforming our country, making our country better to resist the challenges that we will face. That we would be able not to have continuing disruptions in the supply of electricity, but that we would develop the capacity to generate our own electricity. Get going with the geothermal in Nevis, get going with the solar plant we are trying to establish here. That's what we want to do. And we want to encourage countries who are friendly to us to assist us in this regard. I had a call from the ambassador of Germany, who is in Barbados, serving in Trinidad and Tobago, serving St. Kitts, about their support for solar. This is important. So we need to get going with what we're doing, get it done, so that we can have better lives. People over there want to help us.
My Stray Dog family, sound advice. Get going with the solar farm. Ignored by Congress and, of course, Dr. Drew. My Stray Dog family, in closing, I believe that we all want progress. But progress means getting nearer to the place where you want to be. And if you have taken a wrong turn, then to continue going forward will not get you any nearer to that place you want to be. If you are on the wrong road, progress means taking an about turn and walking back to the right road. And in that case, the man who turns back the soonest will become the most progressive man. On the 5th of August 2022, we change for the worse. My people, as we reflect upon the performance of Dr. Drew and his labor administration over the past year, we must all agree that it does not matter which party you support. The cost of living is getting higher and higher, and no solution is being advanced. Crime continues to escalate, and people once again have become on edge. Poor people are suffering daily. There are no jobs, new jobs available. There's no water. Housing is no longer affordable. It is time to get our country back on track. The road is long, and our burdens are heavy, but we will make it if we just bond together. The journey will be long and hard, but we must begin somewhere. And our first point of duty as a people must be to get Terence Michael Drew out of the office of Prime Minister. There are no other options available. No two ways about it. If we fail to act now, life in St. Kitts Nevis will become even harder and harder. Look at what this government has done to poor people in this country. Imagine, they have taken over 4,000 people off the PAP, refused to give them the $500, and now we hear they wanted to increase their salary by $8,500. decried by every citizen and resident as being unconscionable and nothing but shameful. Cabinet members supported it. Some did, my straight dog family. Some approved it. When they said this.
Are we planning to also raise the minister's salaries to discourage the corruption? Minister Henderson?
That's above my pay grade. But I'm hoping that the ministers can in fact get an increase in salary. It's something that I would not be opposed to.
Yes, my straight dog family. 85% increase, my straight dog family. And the classic for me is the rational advance by GLW. You must know by now who is GLW. And his rationale for an increase is to ensure that we discourage corruption. Could you manage this, my straight dog family?
In order to discourage ministers being corrupt, they should be paid well. Yes, you're doing a public service. However, you should be able to take care of your family. But it should also be reasonable so that you can satisfy your obligations. And when the person comes with the potential bribe, you can tell them, no, I don't want that.
But you know, my straight dog family, from the moment I heard Garth Lewis and Wilkin trying to impose his ideas on morality upon all and sundry, I always thought this.
And I believe that it's important to know that no true leader, no leader that excels in a leadership role can do so without integrity. And what is integrity? It's the quality of being honest and having strong moral principles. Honesty, sincerity, strong moral principles, making decisions for the greater good, not for personal needs. These are the key elements of integrity. Whoever walks in integrity walks securely, but he who makes his ways crooked will be found out. Amen.
Amen. So let it be. Garth Lucien Wilkin made his way crooked, and he was found out by Straight Dog family. But as we wind down, after 1 year in office, there's nothing to celebrate, my Straight Dog family. And as I say goodnight to you, I must remind you, my Straight Dog family, that Dr. Drew spoke about accomplishments towards a sustainable island state. But we must therefore strive to balance our economic, social, and environmental needs for the present and future generations. For example, we spoke earlier about investing in renewable energy. We must invest in tourism, agriculture, and other sectors. We are now struggling with our foreign direct investment, which is mainly derived from our citizenship by investment program. And that too is under serious threat from the Schengen countries or the European Union. We are struggling with safety and security, my Straight Dog family. 1 year ago, Dr. Drew inherited a country with crime on the decrease. In 1 year, homicides under Drew has catapulted to 27 murders in just 12 months of this administration. We are struggling with self-sufficiency. And one thing everybody tends to overlook, we have no opposition in the country. We have no alternative government. And someone suggested that the parties should get together again. My Straight Dog family, without fear of contradiction, I conclude that we have nothing really to celebrate after 1 year of this Jew administration. That's my story tonight, and I'm not going to change it. I'm going to thank Almighty God in the process for guiding our conversation tonight, as always. I'm going to thank those who called, those who sent emails, and those who just listen on social media, YouTube and Facebook. Spread the word, share the link, and let your friends, your family, let them know that every Thursday and Monday there's an advocate, an untiring advocate for truthfulness in this country. It's your humble servant. No frills. We bring you the facts, my Straight Dog family. But until we connect on Monday for another edition of Straight Talk, be good to yourselves and to all whom you meet. Have yourselves a wonderful weekend. I made up for missing you on Monday. I really missed you. And I know you missed me too. Some of you told me that. To my young brigade, Kelvin Hanley, Shamara, and what's my other friend's name? Oh, I forgot his name. But my 3 young Straight Talk children, I call them. I wish them all the best as the holidays fast be coming to an end. Get prepared. Kevin told me he's going to the Charlestown Secondary School come September. And I trust my other young children, young Straight Talk children, would be doing some revision at least before school opens in September. Yes, Tristan is the one I couldn't remember. Shama and Kevin. And for you, my entire Straight Talk family, remember, you are the ones who make Straight Talk. And for that reason, I say a big, big thank you. Until we connect on Monday, remember, whatever your mind conceive, that you will achieve. But first of all, you've got to believe. So when you wake in the morning, thank God for the morning light. Thank Him for taking you through the night. And my Straight Talk family, keep moving on. Bye-bye. Until we connect on Monday.
The morning, I thank God for the morning light. Give Him thanks and praises for taking me safely through the night. For the rest of food and loving care,
near, since God protects me with His love, strong, pure, and true, and so sincere. 'Cause my knees I'll always stay to the Lord in prayer. So whatever my mind conceive that I will achieve, you better believe, because I do the things I should, be to my brethren kind and good, the best I could. So I'll keep moving on, I won't stop now, I'll keep moving on, I gotta reach the top somehow.